Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I don't know about you, but every now and then a week of General Hospital comes along that makes me feel like I've been watching for the very first time again. Looking at everything that's about to happen during the week of July 13 through July 17, I honestly think this is one of those weeks. Between long-awaited returns, fresh faces, old secrets, and family drama, I've got that feeling in my gut that Port Charles is about to remind all of us why we've stayed loyal for so many years. As folks like to say back home, hold on to your hats, because this ride looks like it's going to move fast. The first thing that grabbed my attention is the celebration of General Hospital's 16,000th episode on July 13. That's not just another milestone, that's television history. I've seen shows come and go over the years, but GH keeps finding ways to reinvent itself without forgetting the characters that built its legacy. Seeing Steve Burton back as Jason Morgan during such an important episode feels exactly right to me. It almost feels like welcoming an old friend back home after a long journey. At the same time, Dean Geyer stepping onto the canvas as Tristan Roberts gives me that little spark of curiosity. Every new character carries the chance to shake up old relationships, and if there's one thing Port Charles has taught me, it's that nobody arrives without changing somebody else's life. Then there's Scout Kane, who is returning with a slightly older look. Now, that may seem like a small change on paper, but I always think these recasts remind us that time keeps moving forward, even in a soap opera. One day, these children are running around in the background, and before you know it, they're old enough to become part of the biggest storylines. I've always enjoyed watching the younger generation slowly grow into larger roles because it keeps the future of the show alive. The storyline I'm probably most invested in, though, belongs to Anna Devane. I've watched Anna survive enemies, betrayals, and impossible missions for years, but sometimes the toughest battle isn't against a villain. Sometimes it's the one happening inside your own mind. The thought of Anna returning to Port Charles, while secretly struggling with terrifying visions of Peter August, breaks my heart a little. I can't imagine how exhausting it must be to smile at the people you love while trying to hide something that serious. That's the kind of story that feels real, because life has a way of reminding us that even the strongest people carry burdens nobody else can see. I also find myself paying very close attention to Ava Jerome. If there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's never underestimate Ava when she's determined to uncover the truth. Ethan's desperate confession that Phoebe isn't really his biological daughter isn't the sort of information Ava is going to lock away and forget. Not a chance. If she truly goes as far as secretly collecting DNA for a paternity test, then we're talking about the kind of secret that could explode across Port Charles. The truth has a funny way of coming home to roost, and this one feels like it's only a matter of time before somebody gets caught completely off guard. Meanwhile, Britt Westbourne has plenty on her mind. Between her own legal troubles and the news that Jason may soon be free, I can't help but wonder whether she's preparing herself for a reunion that could change both of their futures. Jason has always carried the weight of protecting the people he loves, but prison has a way of changing a person. If he really returns with a different outlook on life and decides to walk away from the mob for Danny's sake, I'll admit I'd respect that decision. Sometimes the bravest thing a father can do isn't picking up a gun. Sometimes it's putting it down. Another part of the week that really caught my attention is what's happening with Emma Scorpio Drake and Gio Palmieri. On the surface, they're simply talking about their future, but I've watched General Hospital long enough to know those quiet conversations often carry more weight than the loud arguments. Sometimes the biggest turning points don't happen during a shootout or a courtroom showdown. They happen when two people sit down, take a deep breath, and start asking themselves where life is really taking them. I actually enjoy these slower moments because they remind me that Port Charles isn't built only on danger and betrayal, it's also built on hope. Emma and Gio are at that stage in life where every decision feels enormous. Every dream seems possible, yet every choice closes another door. Watching them think about what comes next makes me wonder whether the writers are quietly preparing them for something much bigger. That's how this show has always worked. It plants little seeds long before the audience realizes they're growing into major storylines. Then my attention shifts over to Brennan and Nina. And I have to admit, this relationship has become much more interesting than I expected. At first, I wasn't sure what to make of them, but the more I watch, the more I see two people who are trying to clean up a mess that keeps getting worse. Brennan promising Nina that he'll secure the blackmail files and finally free Willow from Drew's control sounds wonderful on paper. The problem is that nothing in Port Charles ever stays simple for very long. I've learned over the years that Whenever someone on General Hospital says, "I'll take care of it," that's usually when the real trouble begins. Brennan may honestly believe he can keep his promise, but blackmail has a funny way of dragging more people into the fire. Every document has an owner. Every secret has someone desperate to protect it. Every victory comes with another complication waiting around the corner. That's why I don't expect this mission to go smoothly for 1 second. And let's not forget Nina. As a mother, she's carrying a tremendous amount of guilt. Whether fans agree with every decision she's made or not, I think it's easy to understand why she's willing to fight so hard for Willow now. When someone you love is trapped under another person's control, you stop worrying about looking perfect. You start worrying about getting them out, no matter how difficult the road becomes. That emotional motivation is what makes this storyline work for me because it feels believable. Now let's talk about the confrontation that I've been looking forward to the most. Lulu versus Carly. I'll tell you what, this conversation has been brewing for a long time. Secrets have a way of piling up until somebody finally says, enough is enough. Lulu has every reason to question Carly after learning that she hid Valentine's identity, secretly allowed Charlotte to visit him multiple times, and then unexpectedly became romantically involved with him herself. From Lulu's point of view, that's not just one secret, that's an entire chain of decisions that affected several people. But here's where things become complicated, and that's exactly why I love this show. I don't see Carly as someone trying to hurt the people around her. I see someone whose heart pulled her in one direction while common sense kept pulling in another. Haven't we all been there at some point? Maybe not with international fugitives and Cassadine family drama, but we've all made decisions that looked foolish from the outside because our emotions got the better of us. I actually think Carly will apologize for keeping everyone in the dark because she understands why people feel betrayed. What I don't think she'll apologize for is loving Valentine. Feelings don't come with an instruction manual. You can't flip a switch and tell your heart who it's allowed to care about. As folks around here like to say, the heart wants what it wants. That doesn't magically erase the damage her secrecy caused, but it does explain why she made the choices she did. To me, that's what makes Carly such a fascinating character. She's rarely perfect, but she's almost always honest about following her heart. Over on Sonny Corinthos' side of town, things finally seem to be looking up, at least for the moment. Watching Sonny share a quiet romantic celebration with Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner after the apparent defeat of Jen Sidwell feels almost refreshing. Sonny spends so much of his life dealing with violence, betrayal, and constant threats that seeing him enjoy one peaceful evening almost feels unusual. Those small moments remind us there's still a human being beneath the reputation, someone who wants happiness just like everyone else. Personally, I can't wait to see how all of these stories collide. We've got returning favorites, exciting new faces, relationships being tested, dangerous secrets threatening to explode, and people trying to rebuild lives that have been broken more than once. That's the kind of storytelling that has kept me invested for all these years. You never know who's going to surprise you, who's going to disappoint you, or whose life is about to change forever. One thing I do know is this: if the week of July 13 delivers even most of what it's promising, I have a feeling fans will be talking about these episodes for a very long time. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of summer General Hospital needed.